They love me more. Victoria's smug voice carried across my kitchen as I stood frozen, my nurse's scrubs still on from my night shift. I'm basically their real mommy now. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 32, I never expected to hear those words from my sister-in-law while my twins played in the next room. Single motherhood wasn't my choice. Cancer took Marcus when the kids were just 3, leaving me to raise Emma and Ethan alone. Victoria, Marcus's sister, had offered to help with childcare while I worked nights at the hospital. I thought she was being kind. I was wrong. What did you just say? I managed to keep my voice steady, though my hands shook as I set down my coffee mug. Victoria lounged against my counter like she owned it, her designer outfit a stark contrast to my worn scrubs. Oh, come on, Olivia. You're never here. Someone has to be their mother figure. She examined her manicured nails with an air of superiority. Besides, they started calling me mommy on their own. The room spun slightly as her words sank in. My children, my babies, were being manipulated while I worked exhausting shifts to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. Before I could respond, Emma's voice drifted from the living room. Mommy Vicky, can we have cookies? Victoria's triumphant smile made my stomach turn. See, they know who really takes care of them. I wanted to scream, to throw her out of my house, to protect my children from her manipulation. But years of handling difficult patients had taught me the value of staying calm in a crisis. How long has this been going on? months now, Victoria waved dismissively. I've been teaching them about what a real mother should be like. Someone who's actually there, who doesn't abandon them for work every night. She reached for her designer purse. In fact, I've been documenting everything. Want to see their Mother's Day cards to me? Something in me snapped, but not in the way she expected. A strange calm settled over me as pieces started falling into place. The way Emma and Ethan had grown distant, their reluctance to talk about their time with their aunt, the mysterious new toys that appeared despite my strict budget. That's interesting, I said softly, pulling out my phone. Would you mind saying that again? About teaching them to call you mommy? Victoria rolled her eyes. Are you dense? I said I've been showing them what a real mother is like. They call me Mommy Vicky now because they know I'm better for them than you. I hit stop on the recording, my hands steady now. Perfect, thank you. Her smug expression faltered slightly. What are you doing? Getting evidence, I replied, my voice cool. You know, to go with the nanny cam footage. The color drained from Victoria's face. What nanny cam? I smiled, thinking of the small device my friend Sarah, a social worker, had insisted I install 3 months ago when she noticed changes in the twins' behavior. The one that's been recording everything. Every manipulation, every attempt to alienate my children from me, every moment you tried to replace their mother. Victoria's composure cracked. You're lying. You're just jealous because they love me more. Mommy? Ethan's small voice came from the doorway. Both our heads snapped around to see my son standing there, clutching his favorite stuffed lion. You're home. Before Victoria could react, Ethan ran to me, wrapping his arms around my legs. The genuine love in his embrace made my heart ache. How dare she try to steal these moments from us? Don't worry, sweetie, Victoria cut in quickly, her voice honey sweet. Mommy Vicky is still here. Why don't we? That's enough. My tone could have frozen fire. Emma, honey, can you come here please? My daughter appeared, looking uncertain as she glanced between Victoria and me. The sight of her hesitation made my resolve stronger. This ended now. Kids, Aunt Victoria was just leaving. Say goodbye. Victoria's face twisted with anger. You can't do this. They need me. Tell her, kids. Tell her how much better it is when you're with Mommy Vicky. But something in my expression must have finally registered with her because she took a step back. This isn't over, she hissed, grabbing her purse. You'll regret this. I have rights. I held my ground, one hand on each of my children's shoulders. The only rights you had were the ones I gave you when I trusted you with my children. That trust is gone. Get out of my house. After Victoria stormed out, slamming the door behind her, I knelt down to hug my twins properly. They clung to me, and I could feel their confusion and fear. I'm so sorry, Mommy, Emma whispered. Aunt Vicky said you didn't want to be with us. That's why you work so much. My heart shattered. No, baby. I work because I love you both so much. Everything I do is for you. She said we shouldn't tell you about the Mommy Vicky thing, Ethan added, his voice small. She said it would make you mad. I pulled back to look at their precious faces, wiping away Emma's tears. Listen to me, both of you. You can always tell me anything. I'm your mother, and nothing will ever change that. Not work, not time apart, and certainly not Aunt Victoria. As I held them close, my mind was already racing. The recording, the nanny cam footage, the way Victoria had practically confessed to parental alienation. It was all evidence. But I knew my sister-in-law. This wasn't over. She would try to paint me as the villain, use my work schedule against me, maybe even try for custody. What she didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything too. Every shift I worked to provide for my children, every moment I spent with them, every milestone and memory. I had witnesses, records, and now proof of her manipulation. Victoria thought she could take my children from me. She was about to learn what a real mother was capable of. The next morning, I sat in Sarah's office, watching her face darken as she reviewed the nanny cam footage. My friend had been a social worker long enough to maintain her professional composure, but I could see her jaw tighten with each manipulative scene she witnessed. This is textbook parental alienation, she said finally, pausing the video. Victoria deliberately undermined your relationship with Emma and Ethan. Look here, she pointed to the screen. She's literally coaching them to keep secrets from you. I nodded, my hands wrapped tightly around my coffee cup. She sent me this an hour ago. I handed Sarah my phone, showing Victoria's latest text. The kids are crying for their mommy Vicky. Hope you're happy destroying their happiness. My lawyer will be in touch. Sarah's eyes narrowed. She's trying to intimidate you. Has she made any attempts to contact the children? She's been calling the house nonstop. I blocked her number, but she's using different phones. I pulled out a notebook where I documented every call, every message. She also showed up at their school yesterday. She what? Sarah sat up straighter. The principal called me. Victoria tried to pick them up, claiming she was their primary caregiver. Thankfully, I'd already updated their emergency contact list and provided documentation about the situation. Sarah began typing rapidly on her computer. Smart move. We need to file for an emergency restraining order. Victoria's behavior is escalating and she was interrupted by my phone buzzing with a new message. It was from my mother-in-law, Victoria's mother. How dare you keep my grandchildren from their aunt? Victoria has been more of a mother to them than you ever were. We're taking this to court. I showed Sarah the message, my hand steady despite the threat. They're trying to build a case against me. Victoria's probably been planning this for months. But she didn't plan on the evidence we have. Sarah reminded me, pulling out a thick folder. I've been keeping records since I first noticed the changes in Emma and Ethan's behavior. Their teachers have documented everything too. The shifts in mood, the confusion about who to call mom, even drawings from art therapy sessions. A knock at the door made us both look up. Sarah's colleague, James Morton, one of the city's top family law attorneys, entered with a grave expression. Victoria Palmer just filed for emergency custody, he announced without preamble. She's claiming you're an absent mother who works excessive hours and neglects your children's emotional needs. Instead of panic, I felt a strange sense of calm. She played right into our hands, didn't she? James's serious expression cracked into a slight smile. Indeed, her filing gives us the perfect opportunity to present our evidence. The judge assigned to the case, Henderson, has zero tolerance for parental alienation. What about my work schedule? I asked. They'll use my night shifts against me. Actually, Sarah interjected. I've got statements from your supervisor and coworkers about how you specifically chose night shifts to maximize time with the kids. You're there for breakfast, school drop-offs, homework, dinner. You've structured your entire schedule around their needs. James nodded approvingly. Plus, we have documentation of every attempt you've made to provide for your children since Marcus's death. Insurance policies, college funds, grief counseling, you've gone above and beyond. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a social media notification. Victoria had posted a long, tearful status about being cruelly separated from my beloved children who need their mommy Vicky. The comments were filling with sympathetic responses from people who didn't know the truth. She's trying to control the narrative, I said, showing them the post. Let her, James advised. Every public post, every message, every attempt to manipulate the situation just strengthens our case. Sarah squeezed my hand. The hearing is set for next week. Victoria thinks she's going to blindside you with this custody suit, but we've got something she doesn't. What's that? The truth, Sarah said simply, and more importantly, evidence of how hard you fought to be there for your children despite everything. That evening, as I tucked Emma and Ethan into bed, I could see the lingering confusion in their eyes. Victoria's manipulation had left its mark, but children are remarkably resilient when shown consistent love and honesty. Mommy? Emma asked as I kissed her forehead. Are we bad for calling Aunt Victoria Mommy sometimes? My heart ached, but I kept my voice gentle. No, sweetheart, you're not bad at all. Aunt Victoria shouldn't have asked you to do that, but it wasn't your fault. She said you'd leave us like Daddy did, Ethan whispered from his bed. I moved to sit beside him, gathering both my children close. Listen to me, both of you. Daddy didn't choose to leave us, he was very sick, remember? And I will never, ever leave you. Everything I do, every moment I work, it's all for you. You're my whole world. As they drifted off to sleep, I checked my phone one last time. More messages from Victoria and my in-laws, more threats, more attempts to make me doubt myself. But they didn't know what was coming. They thought they could use my dedication to my children against me, paint my hard work as neglect. They were about to learn that a mother's love isn't measured in hours present, but in sacrifices made and battles fought. Victoria wanted a war. Fine, but she'd started a fight she couldn't win, because unlike her, I wasn't fighting for the right to be called Mom. I was fighting for my children. The courtroom was silent as the nanny cam footage played. Victoria's voice filled the room, clear and damning. Your real mommy doesn't love you enough to stay home. That's why you have Mommy Vicky now. I watched Victoria's face drain of color as scene after scene showed her systematic manipulation of my children. Her lawyer shifted uncomfortably in his seat as the evidence mounted. Text messages, social media posts, witness statements from teachers and neighbors. Judge Henderson's expression grew sterner with each piece of evidence. When the video ended, she removed her glasses and fixed Victoria with a piercing stare. Mrs. Palmer, she addressed Victoria, in my 20 years on the family court bench, I have rarely seen such a calculated attempt at parental alienation. You deliberately undermined these children's relationship with their mother, while their father's death was still fresh in their minds. Victoria stood up, her designer outfit and perfectly styled hair doing nothing to hide her desperation. Your Honor, I only wanted what was best for the children. Their mother works nights, they needed. Silence. Judge Henderson's voice cracked like a whip. What these children needed was stability and support, not manipulation. She turned to me. Mrs. Parker, your work schedule documentation shows remarkable dedication to maintaining consistent time with your children despite working nights. Your supervisor's statement about you specifically requesting night shifts to maximize daytime hours with your children is particularly noteworthy. My lawyer presented one final piece of evidence, a recording from just 2 days ago, when Victoria had shown up at my house unannounced. I'll tell everyone what a horrible mother you are. Victoria's voice shrieked through the speakers. I'll make sure everyone knows you abandoned them to me. I deserve to be their mother. The silence that followed was deafening. Judge Henderson didn't hesitate. The court finds no merit whatsoever in Mrs. Palmer's petition for custody. Furthermore, I am issuing an immediate restraining order. Mrs. Palmer, you are to have no contact with Mrs. Parker or her children. Any violation will result in criminal charges. Victoria's face contorted with rage. You can't do this. They need me. Tell her mother. My mother-in-law, who had been sitting behind Victoria throughout the hearing, finally spoke up, but not in the way Victoria expected. Enough, Victoria. Her voice trembled. I've seen the evidence. What you did. Marcus would be ashamed. Victoria's composure shattered completely. Mother, how dare you? I did this for them. No, I said quietly, speaking for the first time since the hearing began. You did this for yourself. My children were never yours to take. As Victoria was led out by her lawyer, still protesting, Judge Henderson addressed me directly. Mrs. Parker, the court commends your handling of this situation. Instead of reacting emotionally, you gathered evidence and protected your children through proper legal channels. That shows true maternal instinct. Outside the courthouse, Sarah hugged me tightly. It's over, she whispered. You did it. But I knew the real work was just beginning. That evening, I sat down with Emma and Ethan for an honest conversation. Is Aunt Victoria in trouble? Emma asked, curled up beside me on the couch. Yes, sweetheart. What she did wasn't right, and she won't be able to confuse you anymore. She said she loved us more, Ethan said quietly. But she made us keep secrets. You said people who love us don't make us keep secrets. I pulled them both closer. That's right, real love is honest. It's being there through the hard times, working to give you the best life possible, and always telling the truth. Like you do, Emma said, looking up at me with clear eyes, free from Victoria's influence at last. Over the next few months, we worked with a family therapist to heal the damage Victoria's manipulation had caused. Slowly but surely, my children's trust in me grew stronger than ever. They understood now why I worked nights, why every decision I made was for their benefit. My mother-in-law, to her credit, became our strongest supporter. She cut ties with Victoria and dedicated herself to being a positive presence in her grandchildren's lives. 1 year after the court hearing, I found Emma's school essay on her desk. The title read, My Hero, My Mom. Her words brought tears to my eyes. Some people think heroes don't work night shifts or sleep during the day. But my mom is a hero because she does everything for us. She's there for breakfast and dinner, helps with homework, and tucks us in even when she's tired. She fought for us when someone tried to take us away. That's what real mommies do. Victoria had tried to steal my children's love by being the fun mom, the one who was always available. But she never understood that motherhood isn't about being perfect or present every moment. It's about sacrifice, dedication, and fighting for your children's well-being no matter what. My kids didn't need a mommy Vicky. They just needed their mom, the one who had been there all along, working nights to support them, loving them unconditionally, and willing to fight any battle to keep them safe. That's what real mothers do.